All right, we'll get started. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here. It's an honor to be presenting in front of you. Today, we'll be talking about self-service analytics. And before we get into our presentation, I wanted to talk to you about a little story, the story that I came across in the last 2 days of TC. So I had the opportunity to talk to a number of people in the last 2 days, and I asked them a random question. What does it mean when you say self-service analytics? And all of these people that I spoke to in the last 2 days, they had different answers to what is self-service analytics. One business user told me, self-service analytics means I should be able to do everything myself. I shouldn't be having to go to IT. Does this sound like one of you or a couple of you out here in the audience? Yeah. So, in my discussions with these folks in the last 2 days, there was a common theme that came across. And the common theme was around building data pipelines, providing access to data, and being able to provide to a tool or a technology that the user themselves can use to come back to analytics and gain some insights out of data. Our talk today is going to focus on this specific topic around self-service analytics. And we will also talk about how we leverage Tableau's Ask Data feature specifically to deliver self-serve analytics. Let's jump right in. I will introduce my team. Jyotirmay Malapaka, she is the resident data scientist and data artist at Equinix. Deepak Clare, who is the senior business analyst at Equinix, works very closely with a lot of business people in the company. And I am a principal business systems analyst at Equinix. Together as a team, we work with our business partners and IT to deliver lots of data and analytics business value, including data science and self-serve analytics. So let's jump right in. We'll begin with the introduction to Equinix and what Equinix is as a business, how we are located across the regions, and what the company's growth story is. This story is going to be very important for you to know because as a company grows, you will understand what challenges it faces towards providing analytics and data science to its users. We'll go through the challenge, and we'll also look at some of the implementation approach that we have for self-serve analytics. Towards the end, we will talk about the value we are delivering to our business partners using self-serve analytics. And we will wrap this up with some of the key takeaways and the lessons learned along this journey. Let's begin. So Equinix is the world's largest data center and interconnection company. Many of you must have heard about this company, but in your day-to-day experience, you probably have already been experiencing Equinix's magic. Imagine this. You are watching your favorite video or something online. Chances are that the data or the streaming video that's coming to your phone or to your laptop or your iPad is actually being streamed by one of Equinix's data centers. That's the magic and power of Equinix. Behind the scenes, we connect almost all of the internet through our interconnections. We are the world leader in enabling digital platforms and digital businesses. We also claim that more than 80% of internet traffic actually routes through one of our data centers and interconnections. That's a huge thing if you look at the ecosystem of internet altogether. Around the world, we operate more than 200 plus data centers. And look at the map here. We connect the entire world. We are launching across the world with new data centers and making edge connections to our customers. We also have invested over $25 billion in the last 20 years to build this infrastructure. That's a huge amount of investment for a company to make to build this entire pipeline of infrastructure. Within our data centers, we have a very rich ecosystem. You talk about providers like network providers, cloud and IT, enterprises, Fortune 500 companies. What that means is, if a big bank is our customer, chances are many other big banks are our customers as well, because they would like to interconnect under the same network-neutral platform, which is Equinix. Let me take you quickly through a brief journey of the Equinix growth story in terms of the number of data centers and the revenue growth that the company has had. We are at about $6 billion in revenue right now, with about 347,000 interconnections. Now, this is a big number, 347,000 interconnection. What that means is, behind the scenes, we are connecting hundreds of thousands of companies to interconnect them around the world. I will take you through one of the magic of Equinix, which is Platform Equinix. And this is going to give you a visual display of how we use Equinix services for our own internal IT and business needs. Now, on this diagram here, you see an on-premise system in our Silicon Valley and other data center. And probably in many of your companies, you will have same kind of a setup where you have on-prem servers and systems. Now, how do you connect your on-prem systems to a hybrid multi-cloud environment, whether it's Azure, Google Cloud, or AWS? Apart from that, you also have systems like SaaS services, whether you have Salesforce, Workday, and so on and so forth. You could use Platform Equinix and one of the magic products called Equinix Cloud Exchange Fabric to actually connect and interconnect between public and private clouds all together within the Platform Equinix. Now, I would like to call upon Jyoti to take us through the challenge and go forward from here.
Thank you, Ranjit, for walking us through the business at Equinix. In this section, we will try to understand first the challenges that we're trying to resolve within the analytics community. There are 3 challenges that we'll go through. One is the complex data warehouse. Second is how do we bridge the gap for every single end user. And third is how do we deal with the ton of ad hoc data requests that we get. The 20-year journey that Ranjit walked us through, coupled with our extensive geographic footprint, we're dealing with millions of records of data every single day at Equinix, and we're truly dealing with big data. Our 20+ broad spectrum subject areas cover information like data center information, like power, humidity, temperature, to customer, sales, and marketing data. 200+ tools and applications weave in and out of these data repositories every single day. We're supporting a user base of 10,000+, and our analytics teams ourselves, we're maintaining 1,000+ reports and dashboards every single day. So the challenge that comes with this is how do we enable our users to help them navigate this complex data landscape and understand what their data needs are. A very important motivation for us at Equinix is to empower every single user. Our leaders recognize that data is a key business asset, and they believe that it can revolutionize the way a company operates. Every single individual in our company is encouraged to provide, seek, and identify key insights. This data culture, when it's emulated by our leaders, the data culture flows top down into the organization. We, as analysts, are learning ourselves, and we're also teaching our business on how to fish for the right data. With that, we want to move towards intelligent analytics. We want to choose the right tool so that we can collaborate and tell our stories from data. This brings us to the second problem that we're trying to solve. How do we bridge the gap for every single end user? So my job role is that of a data artist. So my job every single day is to convert the analytical geek speak. I have to crunch these numbers into something that's more consumable for the end user. And as we deal with more users, we see that they can enrich the analytical experience themselves by putting the analytics needs lens on it. We want to decrease their dependence on us, and we want to achieve true self-service analytics. A typical business ask right now goes like this, as is illustrated. The business will reach out to the analyst, and the analyst spend some time trying to scope or refine the request. The analyst will in turn reach out to more subject matter experts or data report developers to answer these questions. Even simple questions can have a turnaround time of 3 to 5 days to actually get resolved. On the flip side of it, we as analysts are already involved in projects, production support, service desk requests, and data requests that are even people coming by our desks. On top of the projects that we are already assigned to, we get a ton of ad hoc data requests. These can be like data analysis or small data validation tasks. Users are looking for trends of a certain KPI, or they're looking for a small change in a monthly or quarterly status report. Many users are interested in knowing if the quality of their data is good or if there's any missing or invalid data. With these ad hoc data requests, there's a lot of back and forth communication. And with every communication, there's a ton of follow-up questions that we get. We're also noticing this trend that we get a lot of multiple similar but different questions. So these are generally from the same business team or the same business function. And as a team, when we are allotting resources to help answer these questions, they can be in a wide geographic footprint, and that adds more time to the data delivery. To give you a context of the kind of ad hoc data requests we get, these are some sample questions from different business functions. That's a lot of text to take in. Let us zoom in and look at a few questions to understand this. A user request can be a simple question like, where is a certain customer located? What is their footprint? Or sales-related information like, what is the average sales by product in a certain location? As we can see, these are simple questions which, with the power of self-service analytics, they can learn to answer themselves. Let me call on Deepak now to help us understand these, how to solve these challenges.
Thank you, Jyoti. We believe that enabling self-service platform can resolve some of these challenges that we saw. In the solution approach, we will be talking about the journey towards enabling self-service analytics, how we are constantly searching for the right tool, and we will try to map our users' needs to the features of these tools. We have been trying to enable self-service analytics for our users for quite some time. We have given them access to the data, the underlying data model. We have given them the right tools for reporting, analysis, and visualization. And as it is important to have them enable service analytics by using collaboration tools as well as training. As we are searching for new tools, we are trying to help users navigate the complex data landscape that we have, lower the barrier for each end user, and we want to make sure that the dependency on IT is also reduced. Towards that end, we have been trying and piloting multiple tools. We also did and because we are at Tableau conference, we thought we will share our story about Ask Data pilot case study that we did. So what is Ask Data? Are you guys, anyone familiar with it? Some people are familiar with it? All right. So if some of you have not heard or maybe played with it yet, but it's the new natural language processing tool which helps a user to type in their question and get answers in a data visualization form. So it has been available from version 2019 onwards. And when a user type in their question, they get visualization in the best form available. And it also comes with features of statistical and analytical features. Behind the scenes, there are three important and core technologies that are in play. The semantic data model take care of data profiling and indexing, as well as enriching the data source by semantic terminology, for example, geography, currency, dates, etc. The natural language parser tries to interpret the question that user have asked, and the natural language query language basically converts the questions into arc-lang format in a structured format, and which gets compiled into a Viz SQL, which brings back the results to the user. So while we are searching for the right tool for our users, we want to make sure that all kind of users are able to use our tools. We categorize our users as creators and consumers. Creator basically means that they are more tech savvy versus a consumer. In next few slides, we'll look at how some of the user needs are mapped to the Ask Data features. This question you may have also heard, that a business user or comes to you asking, what is the best way to visualize the data that I'm trying to show? So on your right is a screenshot from Ask Data. So here a user is asking, what are the top 10 cities by profit? With the best visualization representation, Ask Data is able to provide answer in a bar chart, which is already sorted. A user, of course, have ability to change that chart type. Next, we have found that user wants to use their data by interacting with it in the natural language that they already use. As an example, we call our data centers as IBX, which is International Business Exchange. Some users also call it a site. By using features like custom synonym, we can add data center and site as a synonym for the field, and next time when a user use one of these terms while analyzing their data, they will be able to, the tool will be able to interpret and map it correctly. And so many times we have seen that because a data warehouse is complex and we have thousands of fields available, user wants to just see what are some of the values in that field available. Using data profiling, at the Ask Data pane, you can just hover over a field and find out what are some of the important values there, and some other details like what are the number of unique values, what is the field role and type. Now with the advances of technologies, users also want to talk to their data, which basically means they just want to either type in or get their answers without even writing any query. So here, as an example, user is asking, what is the bottom state by profit in USA for shares? So Ask Data is able to provide that answer as Texas very quickly. Now behind the scenes, there are 3 important features which are enabling it to do that. From understanding the context, it's able to see that words mean bottom. And using global synonyms, it means even though the user asks for a USA, it understands that it's actually looking for United States. And using value indexing, the tool is able to see that it's a value within the product subcategory. Next, you can also build on these queries, which means you can edit right there at the Ask Data pane and edit your query so you can make it, so it becomes very handy for users to go to insights. So in summary, this is what Jyoti showed us. We are in this interdependent communication that we want to get kind of rid of. And our goal is to provide a self-service analytics platform where a business user is able to use it for their data needs. Of course, the analysts, the subject matter experts, the data report developers will be there, and they will be supporting that platform from the back end. Next, let's look at the implementation steps that you can take for any specific tool for self-service. So we have 4 steps here. First step is to identify the business needs. Second is to actually do the technical setup. Third, which is an important one for any natural language processing tool, is curation of data. And finally, onboarding the pilot users. So first and foremost, you should understand what are your business needs by interviewing them, and get to understand their data needs and recognize what they are trying to do with the data. As we saw in our in previous screenshots, a user we try to map the needs of our users to the features of a tool. Next step is the actual technical setup. So for Ask Data, which is available from 2019 version onwards, we upgraded our environment. And next is the pilot configurations of our system. We have an on-prem Linux, 5 nodes, 16 CPU per node, and some other configuration items here. 2 important features or services that run in the background are Ask Data and Elasticsearch. Ask Data service runs on every node that you have on your architecture, and the Elasticsearch runs on the master node. So depending on how many times your data source will get refreshed, how many concurrent users you are expecting, you want to make sure you have the right number of nodes available for Ask Data service to run, as well as right amount of memory for Elasticsearch. Next and most important of these steps is the curation of data source. And it's especially true because we want to use a natural language processing tool to understand the data that we are publishing to the user. For Ask Data, this happens at 2 steps. One is the desktop level, and then we publish the data source. While publishing the data source, there are few settings you want to make sure you have set up correctly. And then finally, at the server level, we do some more curation of data. So at the desktop level, you want to make sure you simplify your data source, add any fields which are to make it more user-friendly, hide any unused fields. So in our case, we thought IBX code is one field that a user may not use while they are analyzing their data, so we are hiding it as an example here. Also at desktop, you want to make sure that your KPIs and metrics are already there so users are able to use it. And create any bin fields for histogram analysis, and also define any aggregation functions. Here is an example where we are saying we know that a profit ratio is one metric that users may be interested in, so we are adding it beforehand. Next are a couple of screenshots when we are publishing the data source. This can be done from your workbook. You can publish the data source only, or while publishing the workbook, you want to make sure that you have the data source separately being published. When you publish your data source, the analysis of your data source takes place, which means the Ask server is profiling the data, adding indexes, etc. Here are a few settings you want to make sure that you have it. So Ask Data can be enabled or disabled here, or you can have the analysis done at either disabled or automatically triggered when a user logs in, or you have it automatically triggered. Next are a few settings that you want to do at the server level, which are data access and security feature. You want to make sure you have given them right access. And this is where also you add custom synonym, as we saw in one of the features earlier. Step 4 is onboarding pilot users. So we made sure that we have given demos to our users, get the source data that they are interested in, and then curate that data, publish it, provide them access, provide them important guide decks so they are able to understand how the tool works. And then we let them play with it, and finally go back to the users and ask for feedback, and we iterate on these steps then. And finally, for onboarding, specifically for onboarding, we actually had some guide decks available for the users. We had one-pager document because it's a natural language tool, but it still needs some keywords to actually interpret your data request. So we want to make sure that our users have that, so they can print out, keep it on handy with them. We also provide in person as well as online training, and we are building a data community as well. So we use tools like Teams and Yammer so users can help each other. Right. Let me call Jyoti to continue the presentation.
Thank you, Deepak. In this section, let us try to understand what is the value of enabling self-service analytics at your organization. As you set out on this journey to empower your users, the most important thing is to understand who your users are. We are categorizing our users as consumers or creators. Creators are the more traditionally technical staff like engineers, data scientists, or analysts. The consumers, on the other hand, are traditionally non-technical, and at Equinix, they can be sales representatives or technicians. As you are choosing the right tool or technology, you have to interview them and understand what are their goals from such a tool. Creators want to do more in-depth data analysis and drill down to details, and they also want to check on their data to make sure that data quality is good. Consumers, on the other hand, are looking for more quicker insights, and they want to be guided on visualization best practices. They want to reduce the dependence on IT and find a more natural way to interact with their data. As you choose a tool for your analytics stack, you also want to understand what are their expected features from the tool. We saw that both our creators and consumers want sharing capabilities in their tool and want it to be high performance. But creators also want to have analytical or statistical functions at their fingertips, and they want to take one query and maybe build on that analysis and share it with their teams. Consumers, on the other hand, are looking for an easier ramp up to the tool. Like instead of when they have not been exposed to like a sophisticated BI tool, they want to be able to learn this tool quickly. And they want to be able to visually look at their data and understand it. In summary, when you're choosing this tool in your self-service analytics stack, you want to make sure that your user is the center of your decision making. As we round out this presentation, we want to go over some challenges that we faced and some takeaways from our journey. The first and most important thing is that data curation is extremely crucial for self-service analytics. Data curation means simplifying your source so that your business can understand it. This increases the access to the data source to a larger audience. And this also makes it easier for the tool to deal with the data so that there's no ambiguity when the users are asking questions. When you're introducing any new tool, initial training shouldn't just be necessary. It should be made mandatory so that the users have an easier ramp up to the tool. The audience for self-service analytics tool is can be majority novice or first-time users of such a tool. So you want to make sure that ramp up is as smooth as possible. This challenge is specific to a natural language tool. Even though we're saying it's natural language, you still have to guide your users on a certain keywords or certain guidelines on how to structure their questions so that they can get the best out of their tool. When you open Ask Data for the first time for a new data source, it gives you a list of questions which it's trying to suggest the users to ask to get some analysis. These initial query suggestions can be a little confusing for the users. But there's a popularity ranking engine behind the scenes. So as the number of users for your data source increase or the data usage increases, these questions get profiled and ranked over time, and then they're more appropriate questions which are shown to the user. When you're dealing with any large data source, you want to make sure that the user experience is uninterrupted. So you want to make sure analysis and profiling happens behind the scenes, and that the appropriate settings for data refresh extracts or analysis refresh settings are chosen by your admin team. And finally, we think that even though there are initial hiccups to your journey, And then the time and the effort that you might put in the beginning is a lot. We do believe that empowering every single user is possible with self-service analytics. Let me call back on Ranjit and Deepak so that we can conclude this presentation, and we can then take any questions. Yeah.
Thank you, Jyoti. Thanks, Deepak. So in conclusion, I hope that you found this presentation useful. We will be here at TC and after this presentation as well. If you have any questions, you can definitely ask us. We will now open for Q&A, but before that, I wanted to call on that there is a related session tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. And in that session, we will actually talk about the entire nuances of the platform that we have into more technical nature and the key implementation pathway that we have taken towards the enablement of the entire platform itself, not just self-serve analytics. So that's one session. And please, fill in the survey forms that you have. It's probably in the app somewhere. And in closing, thank you, and we are open for Q&A. We also have Jared, who actually has volunteered to be here and answer any questions around Ask Data. He is the development manager for Tableau Ask Data. So please feel free to shoot any questions you have. We have some folks from Equinix here, Anurag, Nelthuri, and Charlie, who are also very technical and can help answer some questions. And definitely Mohan, who is our resident data expert and data scientist. Thank you.
Thank you.